Hey there, comic book friends. I'm Travis, and it's time for Talking Comics. Gotta talk some comics. These are comics for the week of August 21st, I believe, 2024. In no particular order. Just my thoughts and feels after having read the books. Local Man, issue number 13. Tim Seeley flex on the book. Writer, artist. I've really been enjoying Local Man. It's been tons of fun. It's got, serious moments. It's got a lot of hilarity in our main character's approach to to life and to the situations that he's in and stuff. It's always flirted with the early Image comics, the stuff from the 90s. You get these like 2 or 3 pages of on the flip side of the book that that Tim Seeley draws, that is our main character back when he was a superhero, and it has all the tropes by and large and silliness of that era of comics. I avoided that era of comics. It was an era when I had house payment and a child, and so comics were not in the mix as far as something I could buy and whatnot. And what little bit I've gone back to any of that stuff, I probably would have hated it then, and I don't care for it now. I appreciate what it is for everybody else and whatnot. But whatever. It's not my jam. The Rob Liefeld stuff and all of that. I mean, I think that's a travesty to art. But any rate, so this is always kind of flirted around that and kind of had some stuff in there, and I've enjoyed it because it's been kind of a wink and a nod at how cool kids thought that was at the time, but it also felt like that there was a certain amount of snicker about the absurdity of it too. And maybe I'm missing the snicker of this one. This issue, like I said, I've always kind of skirted around. This issue dived deep, I feel like, into all of what Image Comics was back then for that superhero era. And I have a feeling that when my other half reads this book, there's a huge chunk of it that she's not going to know. And the only reason I know is because there's enough of a community, and I've talked with people enough that I've seen bits and pieces. I've seen the Spawn stuff that's in here. I've seen the, some of those other heroes that get touched on in this. And if I'm wrong, let me know I'm wrong. But I mean, this group of people here, all basically by and large got powers, and I'm pretty sure, Spawn has a tick down to how long she can use her powers, and then the devil's going to get her, basically. I'm pretty sure that's Spawn. I'm not a Spawn reader. To be honest, I think I've read one Spawn comic in my entire life. And there's some other parts in here. We get to I know there's this thing with this hallway or cabinet that's another Spawn thing, and I've seen it referenced other places too, I believe, but I don't have a big working knowledge of it, so this is lost on me, other than I know it's supposed to be something. Like I said, my other half, when they read it, won't have any any clue that that's attached to anything, I don't believe. So still enjoy the comic. I'm not sure where this one ends at. It ends kind of, I'm looking to see if it says to be continued or concluded or whatever. It says to be continued because I can't imagine them shutting the book down because it's really popular right now. But I guess the very end of it basically implies that the guy hasn't changed a whole lot. Xavier hasn't changed a whole lot, all things considered. His base behavior. They show him doing something that's, oh, this is so out of character. This is something you haven't done. A good thing. And then there's this other, oh, well, that clearly hasn't changed. Like I said, still enjoying it, but that whole kind of dive into a lot of the, and the villain that's in this whole part. Maybe that's something that is an Image thing too, and I'm not aware of. I hope they don't do a whole lot more of that. I thought the stuff like the first arc was great because it basically barely didn't touch it at all. Or if it touched it in such a way that because of my lack of working knowledge of it, I didn't understand that that's what it was. So this issue I didn't enjoy as much because of those elements. And a kind of a, in some ways, a simple ending to what was going on. There was a lot of potentially complex things that were happening. Emotionally, there were some complex things happening, and then they all just got conveniently cleaned up. So I look forward to, like I said, my other half reading it, get a sense of what she thought of it, just to see if it's just my read on it, how somebody who has no working knowledge of any of that stuff, how it will play for them. So I don't know. Next up, we have a debut comic by Lou Luridge, who is a colorist of Eisner renowned. Colors amazing stuff. Colors a lot of books. They're some of my favorite books. This is his, I believe, writing debut, at least for me, anything that I'm aware of. So this is Standstill. The art by Andrew Robinson is enjoyable art. Of course, the colors are amazing in it because it is colored by Lee. And this is a 8-issue miniseries. The basic premise is there's somebody who can stop time. And what would you do, or what wouldn't you do? Premise by the end of this issue is what wouldn't you do if you could stop time? Our main character in here, we get a long, drawn-out scene. I mean, like I said, art's cool. A long, drawn-out scene of a bar fight that we find out is retribution for what these bikers did to some lady. It's really interesting, these pages, right? I mean, that I'm showing you here. They're all long, drawn out, 2-page spread, big, huge, lots of his panels. I mean, this is a 5-panel, 2-page spread. And a lot of it is that way. These big scenes, which is great. I mean, to me, this is an excellent page. You got there's the bar, there's all the players, and then you can move around, for all your chit chat that you need to do and whatnot. But it felt long. It felt incredibly long to get to what was going to happen next. And then we get I don't want to show you some because of spoilers. But lots of big pages like this too, which are cool looking. But I just thought this is odd because this feels like this would be something that you would have put in one of Image's, oversized book. I don't know how they decide, who's doing that or who's not doing that. But like I said, I love the art. The book is huge. It is super thick. And like I said, I'm enjoying this. Big page gives me, like I said, where I'm at. This whole page tells me kind of what kind of a setting I'm in, and then you get these panels there at the bottom inlaid into it to give me some action that I need to go on and whatnot. But anyway, there's a guy that can stop time. It seems that maybe he got the device that's on his wrist there, got it from another man who basically got paid a massive severance package and was fired. And at the very end of it, we find out the military suddenly realized that the device that they were supposed to be getting has gone missing. What are they going to do? Can they build another one? Let's see about getting that guy back that we fired to make another one. We'll see what the story ensues from there. I don't know if we're supposed to think this character is awesome. I mean, it looks like he's doing a lot of what you consider good um, vigilante work. I mean, people who act like scum to waitresses or whatever. Those he uses this ability on them to wreak some havoc. There's implications in here that he is taken all kinds of terrorists and other bad people along the way and caused all kinds of ham all over the place when he's stopping time. But he's kind of smarmy, I think. Well, he's almost. I mean, and I guess well, here, let me see if I can see a picture that doesn't terribly spoil anything. Doesn't he look kind of smarmy? Our main character here. I don't know. Came across that way. So I don't know that he's likable per se. But I thought the story was pretty basic, bare bones. I don't know. I don't know what I want to call it. And I thought about this yesterday after I read it. What did I want to call it? I enjoyed it. It didn't knock my socks off. The art, like I said, is cool. The page layout for almost all of it is really interesting. That it's done the way it is. That they chose to, like, literally every page is a double page spread with inlaid and whatnot. And just I'm. It's an interesting choice. I kind of like it. It works when something is this massive of a book. I mean, this has to be at least 2 comics worth of material. Hard cardstock cover, which is awesome. I'm gonna read the rest of it. I enjoyed it. Zero surprises, I guess, and some of the characters felt stereotypical. The bikers were bikers. The scientist guy was a scientist guy. The military people were, military people. Yeah, that would be the only criticism I guess I'd have with it, is that nothing throughout it was a surprise. It was entertaining, and entertainment's good. But sometimes I like to have something that I'm always waiting for what's the moment or the thing to go, or oh shit, kind of thing. So anyway, next up we have Jenny Sparks. This is issue number 1. This is one of the Black Label books from DC Comics, written by Tom King, Jeff Spokes on art. So Jenny Sparks is a 20th century baby. The whole authority thing, which I have bits and pieces of working knowledge of, not a ton. I do like this character in the past and some of the stuff that I have read. I like some of the other characters from the Authority. None of them are in this. Briefly mentioned. The premise seems to be that, of course, we're now in the 21st century. So Jenny Sparks is 124 years old because it is 2024. And she basically just exists. She has some sort of unwritten or written contract with the Trinity, with Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, that if the ultimate powers get out of control, she'll take care of it. She's like the ultimate fail-safe for any difficult problems. In this issue, Captain Atom has gone off the rails. And Captain Atom going off the rails is a very dangerous thing. I mean, like, he's nuking homeless people and doing all kinds of stuff. And so Batman, basically shows up at Jenny Sparks and goes, "Hey, look, you're up. This is your job. We're standing by." And she's like, whatever. Blows him off and then goes to take care of Captain Atom, and some craziness ensues. Some interesting stuff goes on in this. And there are plenty of people who don't care for Tom King. I actually like his writing. I think he brings a literary lens to comics, which I quite enjoy, because I think comics can be smarter than just punching people in the face. And not to say that this book is particularly smart, but lots of times he tends to give something else. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm interested in this. There's lots of talk of God, or that I want to be God. I mean, at one point, towards the end of this, it seems that Captain Atom has kidnapped everybody in a bar and is holding them ransom. His ransom note basically says something along the lines of his demands are he wants the past to come back, 24 years in the past to come back, or something along those lines. He wants to be God, and he wants a ham sandwich. So I don't know. I find it interesting. I bought this largely not looking at the solicitations all that much. I will say I'm reading another book that has the 21st Century Baby in it. I really like that character. And I heard some people on the internet, oh my God, there's a new one. And, of course, the new one is a person of color. Of course, we're replacing it with this, clearly, white Scandinavian woman and whatnot. And I don't think it's a replacement because she's the old one. She just hasn't gone away yet versus the new one. So they're both there. I don't think there's a problem with that, because I would be stinky about that too if they just basically wrote like that didn't exist. But I think this book also is kind of being told somewhat out of the other continuity. I mean, you can use the continuity from the other books to have an informed opinion about Batman and Superman and all those people and whatnot. But clearly it's also, telling its own thing that's not affected by, whatever else is going on. Where was I going with that? So we haven't messed with that, which is good, I think. Like I said, I got this. And then I see like the solicits for number 2. It implies that this book is going to be centered around, 9/11 happens. Jenny needs to gather up a team. And I don't know that I would read that book. Not to say that, that 9/11 or anything like that is off limits for writing a book around. I feel like real tragedies, very specific real tragedies, hard to write a superhero book around without it being unrealistic. And I say unrealistic in the terms of a superhero comic, right? Or it treads on stuff that it just shouldn't tread on in the fact that it could be offensive to people who lost loved ones or whatever. I don't know. Just feels uncomfortable to me to write a superhero comic on stuff. It's just like there are plenty of superhero comics around punching Nazis and whatnot, back in the day, and that's all awesome. But having a superhero story that centers specifically around if Superman existed, why didn't he stop like Auschwitz and stuff like that? Why didn't we stop Hiroshima? There's just a lot of things that get uncomfortable when you put superpowered beings in those kinds of ripped from the headlines kind of stuff. So now I'm a bit apprehensive to see what else. But I enjoyed this first issue, quite a bit. Like I said, the Tom King's talk of gods was interested in this and interesting and whatnot. Miss Jenny Sparks here is a bit jaded of a person. And I'm not sure exactly if that's how she was originally. Like I said, she wasn't one of the characters that I got to read a lot of because I haven't read that, authority stuff and whatnot to know exactly how all it is. I've kind of, my coming around to that stuff was through, other characters and other people talking and whatnot. So, but enjoyed the first issue. Briar, issue number 8, and probably the last issue, which I think is a shame. I quite enjoyed this. I know the last couple issues I've kind of grumbled about the art, where it's gone versus the art on the original, but still enjoyable art, still very much in line with telling the story. By and large, I liked this issue. It left it in a terrible place. I mean, I guess it's a happy place, if this is what it is. I've seen the writer, Christopher Cantwell, on social media just a couple days ago when this book came out, saying, this is the end unless everybody's buying it. And I thought there was another issue. So this arc was 3 books long. 4 books maybe. Yeah. So, at any rate, kind of a bummer if this is where it ends. There's some emotional resolvement in this issue, but clearly the larger picture hasn't been touched, and may not be. This is one of those books I think is going to suffer from people aren't buying it or not buying it in singles. Hopefully the trades go like gangbusters, and we can see more of or the rest of the book at the come out. I'd like to see there to be the greater resolution in it, and I do feel like almost like points of this were rushed to get to the point that we're at in this. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe that was the original intent, that this book is purely, truly what it was going to be, and whatever's going to come or was going to come next is going to come, and we don't. And that's all. And that's what it is. I mean, I'm hoping that's the case. I'm hoping that what was written here was written with the intent that there was going to be more. That we didn't hurry to get to some of the resolution that we got here. But it does kind of feel like that was the case. Because I think there were some moments that could have been more. And I'm just thinking of this. The reason I'm thinking of it in this way is because it's potentially the last book. And I don't see a lot of people talking about the book. So, and granted, my world and what I view or what I watch and what I listen to is probably fairly limited these days in the grand scheme of comic books and comic book consumption. I don't do TikTok at all. I'm assuming there are a bajillion comic book people out there talking comics that I am unaware of. But yeah, so I hope it's not the last issue. I enjoyed it. I like all the characters that are in this. I like their place in the universe. There is one lost. That's kind of a bummer, but I would look forward to seeing what carries forward and how they're going to get a resolution with Griswold, the fairy godmother, at the end of whatever the end of this will be or would have been, kind of a thing. So, oh yes, super enjoyed this. Black Cloak is back. Excited to have it back. This is issue 7. It says right there in the middle of the cover. Issue 7, Kelly Thompson, Meredith McLaren, and Becca Cray book. Really liked the first arc of this book. It was a great story. Dives you into this kind of fantasy, this city that is the last city on the planet. There have clearly been brutal wars and whatnot in the short and long past of this society. The Black Cloaks are basically extra special detectives who are kick-ass and dig into the serious crimes. They're basically your homicide detectives and that sort of thing. They're called the Black Cloaks because they all wear black cloaks. The last issue ended with all kinds of reveals of who people really were, and some sinisterness of some hierarchy, and some massive consequences that come out of that. Show back up here. A good amount of time has passed since all of that, and we catch back up with our main character. Yeah, main character and her ex-partner, who is a Black Cloak, who has gotten a new Black Cloak associate, and there are once again murders happening in this fantasy city, and they need our main protagonist's help to help solve this crime. And by the end of the first issue, we're immediately exposed into some fanciful monsters that none of us have any idea what it is. The book's got mermaids in it, and the mermaids are kind of more of a base mermaid, flesh-eating kinds of critters that played a role in the last arc. They're back in this. Not sure how much of a role they'll play. Though when this book starts out, the murdered victim seems to have been chewed on, bitten, torn up, potentially by fangs and mouth, which could be the mermaids, except it's on dry land, so it doesn't work that way. So anyway, so very much the art in it is just really cool. Kelly Thompson is just a great writer. She writes dialogue and people and stuff really well. Just excited to have the book back. I'm glad that here's the city. There's the city. I'm just really glad that it did well enough that they could continue to tell their story. And this just does a really good job of not missing a beat from where the last issue was, and this issue takes off. Let's see here, and right in the dialogue, it tells us how long it's been. I can't find it right now, but a certain amount of time has passed since the last thing. So, but it's super cool. Like I said, really dig the art, dig the colors, interesting stories, interesting situations. There's really good, like I said, Kelly does a good job with dialogue lots of times. They have these great moments of pauses that feel very, very real. Like people have real conversations, and that sort of thing. There are quiet moments, when people meet who have history, and some of that history is somewhat uncomfortable, and just good stuff all around. Excited for that book. Happy to have it back. Wonder Woman, which I generally love. See there at the top, though, it says Absolute Power tie-in. So this issue is complete hogwash. The backup story with Trinity is cute and fun. Those always are cute and fun. Not to say that this wasn't entertaining in some sense. It is basically Wonder Woman and Damian. They have Captain Boomerang captured, and they are using different techniques to try and get the information out of Captain Boomerang. Of course, Damian, Robin, uses all the Batman techniques, hang them from, a great height and threaten to drop them, or other horrible things happen to them, to break, put fear into the villain and break them to tell them what they need. And Wonder Woman, of course, who doesn't have her magic lasso, and Robin likes to point out that she relies too much on that thing, doesn't have her magic lasso, and she is trying love and kindness to get the information out of Captain Boomerang. And if you're familiar with the character Captain Boomerang, he is a crass and harsh character. He does not break to either of their things, and they swap back and forth because it's challenging the two of them to see whose techniques are the right techniques, and the other one will have to learn those said techniques if it comes down to it. There's some funny moments in this, but has nothing to do with the story that was going on in the actual Wonder Woman title. So this is multiple issues that's broken that storyline that have nothing to do with anything. When this stuff gets collected in some sort of trade, I don't think this stuff gets put in it at all because it's garbage as far as a storyline. The last issue, I'm told, had nothing that didn't move anything forward in the actual Absolute Powers. This one I will be told the same thing. It's not like it has any bearing on the actual title itself, which is good because you would hate to have to read Absolute Power and then pick up all of the tie-ins. Would be a nightmare, I would think. But anyway, already said more about it than what I should. Boo for tie-in crap. Keep your stories in your own storylines, right? Next up, we have Crocodile Black, issue number 4, Philip Kennedy Johnson book, art by Sam. So I'm enjoying this, and it's interesting to see the collateral damage after our main character is kind of really losing his stuff, and has murdered a pharmacist that was illegally selling drugs out of the back of it. Now both the cops are after him and the mob is after him too, because of this murder, instead of just scaring the guy, it's caused all kinds of unwanted attention from law enforcement. So um, we get to see some warped history, kind of confirming what they've been hinting all the way along in the comic about the history of our main character and his lost brother. And clearly possibly the psychosis happened then. And his psychoses are getting worse. I love the way the psychoses are done. Partially how that gator head is drawn over the top of this guy's head. That's how it is in the artwork in here. I think that's a really kind of a cool style of doing the book. This whole, line written, gator thing. That's how some stuff is. But his, schizophrenia is getting much worse. It actually also heightens his senses in a way, and he knows he's going to get jumped because of it, and it helps him out. But I believe this book is it ends next issue, and I'm not sure. Should there have been more? Should there have been? I feel like there are things to explore, and clearly, if next issue is the last issue, there's no way they're exploring all of that. So now I'm looking at it. Okay, am I supposed to take it as the initial face value? Here's a kid, gets himself in trouble, does a deed, and that deed backfires, and now he's got both sides of the legal system coming to get him. And what makes this story interesting or unique, as opposed to what we've seen many times, is the mental health of our main character, and how that, and seeing the world some through his eyes. I'm enjoying it. I just feel like because the next issue is the last issue, I feel like we're going to miss a lot of stuff that I would have been interested in exploring. And specifically what those things are, I don't know. It just feels like when I read it, I feel like there's more stuff I want to know. Maybe that's a good thing. Leave me asking and guessing. But yeah, by and large, I'm still enjoying it. It gives me pause and gives me wonder. And next up we have issue 117 of Nightwing, the penultimate issue of the Tom Taylor and Redondo driven Nightwing book. Next issue is the last issue of their run on the book. I really love this cover because there is Nightwing and it's somebody else being Nightwing. So instead of Nightwing being a little on the thinner side, still clearly a muscular dude, he's this big, broad looking character. Even on the cover, that translates well. It's freaking awesome. There's some moments in this that I love. I would have loved to have seen the exploration longer of who is filling in for being Nightwing while Dick Grayson is off taking care of some of his personal issues with the whole fear of height thing. We quickly start to get some resolution in this issue as far as who people are. They've got it figured out. They know who they've connected the dots to know who the bad guys are and whatnot. And now they just need to resolve that in the next issue, which I'm sure they will do in some sense. I'll be curious to see how in the next issue, how they leave the character. Because in the last couple issues, they've kind of destroyed Dick Grayson's reputation. Are they going to be able to resolve that in a way that Dick Grayson will continue to maintain his Alfred Foundation and all that? Or was that something that's not going to get carried forward from this book to the next one? I had debated on not getting Nightwing when this team was done. I'm not the hugest Nightwing fan. I have attempted to collect it in the past. Dan Watters is going to be writing. I enjoy a lot of the stuff that Dan Watters writes, so I'm going to continue forward at least for a little bit just to see what his version of the book is, and then decide once I pick up some issues. But I'm looking forward to the last issue. This was a fun issue. I look forward to the next issue. I'm curious to see if we can end it on a beat the bad guys and end in the joy that this book a lot of it has been to read. If they can finish it out on that note, or do we finish it out somewhere else? And then finally, this time we have Unlawful issue number 3, right? Yep, number 3. Super been digging this book. It's been really fun. This whole interesting concept of they live in a place where if you do things wrong, you wear it on your body. So you shoplift something and you sprout a horn and you basically turn into a monster. And once you reach a certain level of monster, they literally throw you off the walls of the city to, I don't know, your death, or to live in the rest of the world with the rest of the monsters. Nobody really knows that part. Everybody's kind of afraid of that part. Our main character is, his father was this supposedly perfect person, this perfect warrior. He's not a warrior. He's a clerical person. He's not that, but he's trying to maintain that perfect thing and doing a terrible job of it. He has a friend who's been a childhood friend who always kind of walks the line and is becoming more and more monstrous. She's going to get kicked out. He's trying to cover that. And then he discovers something sinister about the holy people that are at the top that are supposedly these good and virtuous people. So we'll see what happens. I'm enjoying it. Every issue has been fun. It's given me a little bit more of a ha-ha, oh ho ho moments, and I've really been digging those. So been some good fun by Greg Pak and Diego Galindo. Yeah. I'm not sure how many issues this is. I want to say 7. But anyway, it's good fun. I really enjoyed it. I'm happy I picked it up. Each issue has kind of ended in a place that makes you go, oh yeah, right on. And that's great. You get a single issue that gives you that, and excited about what the next issue is going to be. So I'm looking forward to checking that out. And that is it. That is it for this time around. What'd you think? Am I way off? You tell me that Local Man connection stuff is the best stuff ever. Or am I missing something someplace else? Let me know. Anyway, have a great one, everybody. Check you next time.